Do you all believe as a race, I'm not talking about you specifically, but do you believe as a race, African Americans, we play the victim?
Hey, man.
I have a dream.
No. I'm just gonna leave that as a one-word answer. I'm not even gonna jump in deeper than that. No.
Yeah, I'm on the side of absolutely not, and I will leave it there until somebody disagrees.
Yeah. Then I'll jump back in. And now I'm gonna step out.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna say yes.
Let's go.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna say yes.
Give me an example.
See, it's a loaded question just because I'm not gonna sit here and say every single African American side's either on the yes side or on the no side.
Mm-hmm.
I say yes to mainly spark conversation, but also I know you're not talking. You said not personal experiences, but that's all I got to go on. I will say, you know, just based on where I am in life, I've gotten a lot of pressure from African Americans. Feeling like, you know, I've gotten to where I am because of white people, or you can't speak, you didn't grow up like I did. Like I came from the hood, you know, I didn't have the same opportunities and privileges that other people had. And though, you know, I believe that to be true, in today's America, I really do feel like anybody has the opportunity to rise to the occasion. Now, is it easier for certain people over others? Yeah, I mean, let's be real, yes. Like, that's 100% true. But, you know, I just keep hearing, like, systemic oppression, this, that, and the third. Like, yeah, we get it, I know. Like, we all know. Like, we all know. But the opportunities are still there. Will you have to work a little bit harder to get to where you want to be? Absolutely. Because of how you look? Absolutely. I'm a testament of it.
Anybody gonna say nothing?
Go ahead. I want to hear this.
I think it's impossible to accuse us of playing the victim. You're talking about a 400+ year head start for a particular set of people. You're talking about systematic oppression. That's what I meant by a post-traumatic state. Is we're at this stage in 2020. We're trained to say, yeah, it's unequal, but that's just not okay to me. I don't think we should ever get to the place where we just accept inequality.
Correct.
I'm not encouraging stagnation, so I agree with you. I'm not encouraging throwing in the towel like, yo, it's not fair. That's not what I'm saying at all. But while striving to be your best self, you should never accept inequality. And I think that's what we're being trained to kind of just be like, yo, this is just the way it is, and to no longer call it out. And I'm not even saying we got to go picket, protest. I'm not saying none of that. But at least in conversations like this, if we're not going to set a standard, no standard is going to be set. Nobody else is going to stand it. Nobody else is going to set it. You're talking about, I mean, statistically, like factually speaking, at the onset of the 20th century, you're talking about owners only giving land to specific races. That's generational wealth. Yeah. You're talking about bank loans only being given to specific races.
How can you
That's generational wealth.
Right.
So we can't, it's not even like this is ancient history. That's what blows my mind. This is recent history.
But he didn't say that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. What he said was, do we play the victim? Mm-hmm. And I think that's very different. You're aware of the things that have happened, but are you victimized as a result of it? So, do you say, this is what I can do with what I have been allotted, or whatever my place in life is? Are we playing the victim is the question.
So
yes,
I think we have to define play the victim.
Okay.
I think we are the victim.
Because anybody can be a victim.
I think we are factually a victim.
So all races can be victims.
What do we call in playing the victim?
What do you see that as then?
What do I see what as?
Playing the victim, like when you hear that, like what does that trigger for you?
Play the victim means I'm acting like something is being done to me that's not being done to me.
Or always complaining.
That's what I hear.
Always complaining about our history.
That's what I hear when I hear play the victim. Like you're taking the position that something being done to you and nothing's being done to you. That's somebody playing a victim to me.
This is what I hear.
And that's not the case to me.
This
You know
is what I
mean?
hear.
Yeah.
Get over slavery. Stop talking about it. We're all equal now. You should be ahead you should be further than where you're at. Stop talking about the old days. I'm gonna stop right there. But
Yeah,
that's what it triggers in my head.
So to say like we can't, I don't think you can outrule or like just say, hey, some black people aren't playing the victim, because everyone uses excuses.
Correct.
And people can be using playing the victim by whatever excuse they may bring. But like you said, like we weren't given an opportunity basically to build that generational wealth. And without that opportunity, we don't own anything. So we are having to kind of look for employment like at wherever you work. And even you said there's one person at D1 that's black. And we're 15% of the nation. That's not an accurate representation of America. So therefore, we may not be playing the victim, but we're getting hurt in corporate America or whatever part of life. And
Yeah,
that's kind of just statistics.
I'm going to agree with him. I also don't like the term playing the victim, because it does sound like you're alluding to something that is not real. And I think I'm not dismissing or negating the effects of 400 years of oppression.
Sure.
And, the things that we've seen and been through. I'm not dismissing any of that. But if we cut it all off and we started with a year ago, we are still being victimized by the stuff you have to see on TV. You have African-American boys who at the age of 11 or 12, all they have ever seen were African-American boys being killed on TV. That's all they've ever seen. They've not known the life without it, because they've watched this happen since they've been old enough to understand. They are victims. You can go into a grocery store. You can go into an amusement park. You can go anywhere and be mistreated, and you will be a victim today. We're not talking about the victimization only of the yesteryears. You can be a victim tomorrow. And I think if we're all honest, we have been in places where you have been the victim.
That's right.
You were
Of
either
course.
wrongly accused or wrongly criticized, or maybe let's not even make it a negative thing. Looked over for a job unjustly. It's happening. So there's a rationale to the relevancy of still being victimized.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was, to her point, it's not even like this is ancient history. We're talking about 1960s, 1970s. Like the Civil Rights Act was just passed halfway through the 20th century. Like, it's not even hundreds of years ago. Like, there are people alive still, like, you know what I mean, who went through segregation that are still alive. Like, it's not even,
Of course.
you know what I mean? It's not even ancient history. So I can never agree that the responsibility is on us to fix the mistakes of others. I could never agree with that. I just can't.
And it doesn't take away, something that I said on the back end of my last answer. At some point, as a family, as a community, you can gather the people you love and say, let's get us out of this.
Correct.
And then you could say, well, we're no longer playing the victim. We took pride and took our own responsibility. And then you can build all that up, and tomorrow you can go somewhere and still be disrespected.
To that point, in my initial answer to you, I said I'm not making an excuse for stagnation. Like, it's not no excuse to be stagnant.
Yeah.
It's not no excuse to not grind and hustle and get out here and get it. But even if his question is about us as a race and as a culture, and if I get my family together and pull my family up, that's my family.
Exactly.
You feel me?
That's right.
That's not balancing the scales.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's very interesting. Your point is very, very interesting, because I could be an extremely successful black man in today's America and still go somewhere tomorrow and be looked down upon because of what I look like.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you, because I remember like Booker T. Washington, like the 1890s, to kind of offset the Jim Crow laws. He was
I
like,
said
hey,
I'm that old, right? You're not trying to give some
You remember him, right?
Yeah. I didn't go. Make sure you know I didn't go to school. All right, brother. All right. I'm the historian.
he said basically
My grade showing that much, though, for real?
I was gonna ask you this. So you said basically to offset the Jim Crow laws that were put in place, we had to educate and be entrepreneurs. And you two have both done that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear your experience, because this is 130 years later for him saying, hey, we need to mobilize on our own, get education, and be entrepreneurs. and that will create our own system of wealth. But I mean, you're only, like you say, you're only one person. It's hard to pull up a whole group.
Of course.
So I kind of like to hear y'all's experience as being entrepreneurs.
You can talk, Mignon.
I was
And
going to let
Simone.
you go first.
Simone owns her own shop too, so I'd love to hear your
Oh,
thoughts.
okay.
I'm taking it in. I'm
sorry.
I'm just
sorry.
listening right now. You know?
Well, like I said, I was kind of raised in an entrepreneurial family, right? I was always taught, don't work. I'll just be honest, my father, don't work for the white man. That was it, right? You get education, anything you could take, put it towards your own business. Put your own 2 feet on the ground. Save your money. You know, get a hustle. You know, he's showing me all these things to do. So it was always in my mind that I had to work for myself. The only way I'm going to come up is to work for myself. So I was never trained to, you know, you're going to get a great education, then you're going to go get a great job, and then you're going to be successful, then you're going to raise a family. Now, I was out, go get your own brand, raise your family, give your brand to your family, let them continue that generational wealth. So that's the way I was taught. And that's the way I got to keep it moving.
Okay.
So give me rephrase the question that you had specifically.
Basically, what I was saying is Booker T. Washington said that to offset any type of segregation or discrimination or from playing the victim, we need to educate and be entrepreneurs. Has that experience kind of helped you push through, and have you been able to bring others up because of your entrepreneurship?
Okay, so thank you for that question. I definitely believe that entrepreneurship is freedom.
Yeah.
It's ultimate freedom. I was writing down a thought just yesterday as I was flying through Chicago that one sign of enslavement is a name change. That when people say that you're something that you're not. So if I was to go and address the same idea with biblical characters, we could look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That was not their name.
Yes.
It was their name that they were given in enslavement. And I can just imagine how they were in a room together and, one of them yelled, "Hey, Shadrach, dude, that is not my name. I'm Toby." you know what I'm saying? And I just feel like we have a responsibility to know who we are.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to do our due diligence to make our name great. That somebody can walk around and call you a liar. Is that who you are?
Yeah.
That's not who you are. Somebody can walk around and call you a thief. Is that who you are? That's the name that the enslavement has given you, right? And so I think that the only way that we can exercise true freedom is in ownership of our stuff, of ourselves, of our actions, of the things that we create, that we can be makers. I think that this is the time for all hustlers to unite, that we all can make whatever we want to be a part of. We no longer have to sit back and say, "Oh, it's because of what you did to me." Listen, I was molested as a child. So if we want to go back and talk about victimization of the things that people have done to us, we can do that. Or we can rise above it and we can say, well, this is who I am now. This is what I'm going to do. When I started my business, I could not bake. Not even out of a box. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any credit. I didn't have any experience in the business. Nobody was going to give me a loan for anything. I was losing the house that the very bakery exists in right now, 11 years later. Because when you put your mind, this is what I was saying earlier, we can be focused on what happened for us.
Yeah.
Instead of what has happened to us. I believe that it is that blood running through my veins that had things taken from her. It is that blood running through my veins that said, "No, you can't come in here." It's that blood that is running through my veins that made my great-grandfather one of the first to be able to sing where he sang. And those are the things that I'm using today to get me from where I am to where it is that I want to be. And it's those things that I'm giving to my children and saying, this is what you have. We're not talking about what we're not. We're talking about what we are. And I think that's the difference.
And when we talk about what what we are, what are we doing right as a culture that's setting up our children to have wealth? What are we doing right as a culture to where our children's children will know our names? Are we doing things right as a culture to change the narrative of our finances of our children?
I can only answer that as an individual and then see what we and my wife also try to do and spread, right? You know, we're all about giving back. We're all about showing and proving. You know, I want to be that beacon that this young brother say, you know what? I want to do what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? I want to go out and get my own wealth. I want to start my own business. And if I wasn't there, maybe he didn't see me. Maybe he never came to my restaurant. Maybe it just be, you know, but when you're there, we're going to teach you. We're going to give you tools. We're going to teach you about customer service. We're going to teach you how to run a restaurant because that's what we have to do. It's my duty. I have to teach. And again, I can only speak about me. I can't save the world.
Yeah.
But I can save the people that watch me. I can save the people that touch me. I can save the people that work for me. I do my best, right? You know, so, you know, I just look at it as you have to be that beacon, right? You got to be that shining light to change everything around you. You know, be that leading example.
But I don't think that's anything new under the sun, what you're saying.
No, it's not new.
I think that's what this community has been. You know, it has been a community of people who say, I'll teach you how to do this.
What community are you talking about?
The Black community has gone. I have plenty of examples in my life of people who stuck their foot in the door so that I could pass through.
That's not always out the way we do things, though. You know.